So when you're building your employer brand, there are several components that really make an essential employer brand and things that you need to be mindful of that you're going to be activating within your efforts. One of them will be an EVP, or at least a lightweight version of that. So whether you develop a formal employee value proposition or you have more of an informal, loose set of guidelines, you have to have an understanding going in. What are you trying to convey? What are the audiences that you're trying to reach? What messages are you trying to share, and what perceptions are you trying to shape? Some organizations will develop a formal EVP that speaks to these things. Other organizations will at least have an understanding of what those ideal things are, so you understand what the outcomes are and you can ultimately measure your efforts. Another piece would be, social media is going to be one of the distribution methods through which you extend your employer brand. It's not the exclusive one. So really, when you think about recruitment marketing, you're extending your employer brand in things like job descriptions, career site. Social media is another distribution channel, but essentially it's the ways that you are conveying the messages that you're trying to convey. And then a third point that's really important is if you're activating your employees to share your employer brand and convey that, you have to give them some sense of guidelines. I call them guardrails, if you will, around acceptable behavior and or unacceptable behavior. And all organizations are going to be different, so you really need to think about your own organization. If you're in an organization that is governed by strict compliant rules, perhaps you're in financial services, obviously there's limitations to what you're able to share on social media, and that extends to your employees. So in my view, I think it's really important to activate your employees for employer branding, but in many organizations you're going to have to at least set a bit of guardrails so they understand what behavior is acceptable, what behavior is not, and you're arming them to go out and be great ambassadors and kind of represent your brand and your culture strongly, but you're doing it in a way that feels loose, but at least sets, again, those outside guardrails so they know where they can work within when they're out there representing your organization.